So this is the demonstration video for the latest version of our drawdown recovery EA. So for testing, I'm going to open a buy and a sell. So definitely one of them will end up being a loss. So I'm loading up my drawdown recovery EA. And as you can see, these are the parameters. So the first one is the daily loss. The daily loss percent is for when there will be no more recovery allowed, because definitely you've already accumulated some loss and it will be risky to open recovery positions or even try any recovery. So the next one is trading TP and break even for initial position. Now the trading TP is different from trading stop loss. The normal trading stop, we know this one is for the profit. So in case you have a profit of, let's say, 500, a loss, it's for the losses. In case you have a loss of, let's say, 500 pips, $50, right? You trade it so that you know that definitely this cannot end up being a profit. You can trade it by, let's say, 350. So if it just retraces small, it closes the loss at 150. So that is what this pips is for, right? And next we have the break-even TP. You can, instead of trading, you can say, okay, if it comes back to the entry close, then I'll think of opening again. Next one is the pips for the break-even here. And also you can trigger at percent or pips. That's why we have the mode for break-even, either equity percent. You can say, okay, if it is up to 5% equity drawdown, then you can trigger it, or if it's pips, then you trigger it. So for now, let's leave it at pips 400. Okay, the next one is the recovery settings. Now this is where it gets interesting. The first one is recovery activation for chart symbol only. This is if you want it for only the chart symbol, only the positions on the particular chart symbol. For example, here we have XAUUSD, but I'm going to leave it as 4 so that we can recover all open positions, right? That's the next one. And this, we have enable same direction recovery. This is if you want it to open same direction recovery and opposite direction recovery. It's best you leave both of these as true. So when both of them are true, it follows the one that is on the trend. Recovery trigger mode, you can choose what to trigger the recovery positions, either pips or equity percent, just like the break even for initial position. So most times I like to use equity percent. So if the loss, if I'm using a big account, like let's say from 1K and above, I say, okay, if it has reached 10% of my equity, please close. So I'll be looking at, let's say, $10, $11 here to open recovery positions. Yeah. This is if it is pips. You can also use pips and say, okay, 500 pips. Enable recovery stop loss. Now this recovery stop loss is if you want, okay, stop loss to be for your recovery positions, right? And we also have recovery close profit pips. So when your recovery positions has reached a certain profit, it doesn't have to be too much. For instance, here I have just 350 pips. It closes the position. And what does it do? Does it close all, or you have the option to close all positions, to close only recovery positions, to close only initial, to partial close recovery, and close initial recovery. Most times it's best close initial recovery, because with the recovery profit, it should have already covered up for the initial loss. This is for SL, this is for profits. Recovery activation, very important. So we have a few options here. Recovery start pips only. We have SMABB. SMABB is SME and Bollinger Band. Those are the indicators. We have RSI. We have recovery start pips and SMABB. and we have recovery start pips and RSI. So the recovery start pips is what we use, like the equity percent. So if you use both that and an indicator, it will wait for instance, RSI. You can choose when it triggers either above or below. For instance, for buy, if it's below 25, I say okay, it's good to buy. If it's above 75, I say okay, it's good to sell. Yeah, and that's a very good filter that has proven profitability, right? So without wasting much of our time, we have lot sizing for recovery positions. It can be equity based. So okay, risk 5% for recovery positions, but most times I like to use fixed multipliers. So okay, just double original. So if it ends in profit, it can cover up for the loss of original. That is what we have here. So we also have trading stop for recovery profit. So recovery don't end up being a loss. We have the option to throw the stop if it's pips or percent. This is the percent if percent is chosen. So most times if it's up to 2%, it can just start trading. This is for pips, and this is enable partial closures. This is a very important feature. So when the trading stop hits, instead of closing all the position, it just secures some and keeps the rest at break even. So this is pretty much it for now. We also have the break even TP for recovery trades, which I missed. Break even TP for losing position, just like the initial positions. We have the option of pips or percent. Break even trigger percent if percent is chosen, and break even pips. So yeah, that's pretty much it.